And so you should have completed exercise B. I'm hoping without too many difficulties or too much trouble. So we're on to the example 3, which is the example prior to section C. Now, this is a wordy question, and wordy questions sometimes can be quite hard to digest and get your head round. So first of all, read it, and then we'll take out some important information, and then we'll think about how to solve it. So a plane leaves Manchester Airport and heads due east. It flies 160 kilometres before turning due north. It then flies a further 280 kilometres and lands. What is the distance of the return flight if the plane flies straight back to Manchester Airport? So rather than try and do all this in my head, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a diagram, and it's going to be really basic. It says we start at Manchester Airport, we go east, then north. So I'm immediately thinking about where I'm going to start my sketch, and I'm going to start down here. And this is Manchester, so I'll just call that M. And that's the journey east. It says it's 160 kilometres, so I'm going to mark that on. Okay, then we go north, straight north. My diagram clearly isn't to scale because I'm just doing a very quick sketch, but this says going north 280 kilometres and then land, so that's the point where we land at L. Then if we were to fly straight back, how far away would we be? So we're trying to find that distance there, or ML as it could be given as in my diagram, the side of this triangle ML. Well, this is very typical of a sort of Pythagoras' theorem sort of question, because the diagram, as you can see, forms a right angled triangle, or the journey that the plane takes makes a right angled triangle. So this is two sides, and we're trying to find the hypotenuse. Again, of course, the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. So let's have a look at how we would go about doing it. What's the distance of the return flight? Well, I'm going to say that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Then I'm going to put in my two values and just think for 1 second about which are my shorter sides. They're the two shorter sides, so they're going to go in as a and b. So I've got 160 squared plus 280 squared, and that equals, well, I'm going to call it ml squared rather than give it another letter. And then I'm going to work out this 160 squared plus 280 squared. I'll do that all in one go on my calculator. 160 squared plus 280 squared is 104,000. And that equals ml squared. So ml must equal the square root of that, which is 322.4903 ... So ml is 322.5 kilometres, and that's to 1 decimal place. Double underline my answer, and we're done. We've worked it out. Now, just to go back over a couple of bits to do with this one. First of all, if you're not given a diagram, you should draw one for any sort of right angled triangle problem. So that's Pythagoras, which we're working on at the moment, and the same will apply when we do some trigonometry. So if you draw a diagram, it's much easier to be able to visualize what's going on. Then, of course, label your diagram and make sure you do it accurately. Take a moment just to double check. And then, again, when we're doing trigonometry, we'll need to put in another stage, which is make sure you identify what it is you need to use to solve the problem. Now, with Pythagoras' theorem, that is fairly obvious for this exercise because that's what it is based around. But in the future, that will be something to consider. Once you've decided what it is you need to use, you would then write down the important information. In this case, it was a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Actually write down Pythagoras' theorem, and then go on to make sure you put the values in properly. But it's a pretty straightforward process. It's practice depending on what the question is. It's practice and making sure you put the values in the right place, and then working through, and of course square rooting at the end. But if there's any problems with exercise C, let me know. I will have a look through the exercise, and I might do some written solutions for you just to help with any that I think might cause issues. But any problems, give me a shout. Otherwise, good luck. Work through exercise 11C. Thanks very much.